What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Clock Radio Speakers. I'm your co-host, Armond Wake Up. You can follow me on all social media at Armond Wake Up, ARMOND, Wake Up, all one word. More important than that, please follow the official Clock Radio Speakers Twitter handle, which is at CRS Podcast. We are on, we haven't done this in a while. I'm kind of rusty. Facebook, Instagram, you guys know where we are, clockradiospeakers.com, powered by Tumblr. No longer powered by Tumblr. Goodness gracious. But all 300 some odd episodes are there. Get into our back catalog, especially now that the holidays are coming up. You should have been getting to the back catalog during this pandemic. We got lots and lots of bars, right?
We need to do like a maybe not Throwback Thursday, but some sort of like pick a day, like once a week. Just pick something out of the back catalog where you can hear my terrible mic quality from 2012 or something, or like the 3 hour long episode where we just talk about Wu-Tang from like 96 or something. It's good times.
Back when I used to like underlay music underneath the podcast based off of what song we were talking about. Jesus. Oh man, we've come a long way. But yeah, Doc is here. Doc, what's up, man?
Oh man. Things are good. Things are good. Y'all can follow me on Twitter, Instagram if you want, at Doc_beats, S not a Z. But like Oman said, just follow the show at CRS Podcast. And if you're a fan of the show, and if you're really a fan of the show, we got some big changes coming soon, but you should definitely be checking us out on Patreon, patreon.com/CRS podcast, or just go to collectradiospeakers.com and you'll see the link from there. No, things are good, man. I've been really trying out some really random like beat styles and samples lately. Like I definitely made like a 110 BPM upbeat sample, a beat that samples Usher's My Boo. Like no joke.
What?
It is. It is. It's not finished. It's not. It's just I'm just trying random stuff out. But you gotta dig through, man.
Trying, yeah. Trying girls out till I find the one for me. And it's probably a bad parallel, but I get what you're saying. Yeah, try stuff out, man. Try it. Absolutely.
So since the last time we spoke, did you put out another song? Is that true?
Did
you
I
put out the record with Taylor, right?
Oh, has it been that long?
Well, look, if it hasn't been, you should be promoting it anyway.
Yeah, for sure. So by the time this comes out, no. So I can tell the CRS audience that the release date for my album will be announced on Monday. So we are officially announcing the announcement. So 36 will be available soon. Ask For featuring Taylor Gray is available on Instagram and on YouTube. Not on streaming services just yet. I had somebody ask if that was going there. It's really interesting, that whole rollout. After the conversation we had, I was just like, I didn't put it on streaming services, but it is what it is. Yeah, new music coming out, videos and all types of stuff, Target deals.
If you want to know why that joke is funny, you should subscribe to our Patreon for sure.
There it is. But yeah, man, music's definitely coming.
Excellent. And you're preparing for Thanksgiving. You got chef wake up in the kitchen. What do you got going on?
Yeah, we had some friends come by and bring some dishes. My wife is very pregnant and very tired, so she made the turkey, and then a couple friends just dropped off some of the some dishes. So we kind of had Thanksgiving last week. So we're gonna it's weird. I don't even want to explain it to our audience, but we're doing something different for Thanksgiving this year. But yeah. So lots of things.
So we got some things and things to talk about this week. I don't even know where you want to start. We've got everything from Grammy nominees to Jeezy and Gucci on Versus. We got a couple random albums came out. NBA offseason. We just had the 10th anniversary of Dark Twisted Fantasy. Any of those interest you off bat?
I think we should either start with probably Grammy noms because it's the big topic, and then we can head into like Jeezy, Gucci, and all other stuff. But that's the big. Let me pull these.
Yeah, the Grammy nominees. Every year, to no surprise, everybody gets. It's gonna be some snubs. There's gonna be surprises. People get all excited. There were some things that definitely stuck out to me.
Okay.
Beyonce got a lot of love for somebody who didn't release much last year.
How
I
many
mean,
noms did she? I didn't see anything outside of the
uh,
couple.
she got 9, the most of any artist.
Wow. Based off that Lion King
Black
album?
Parade alone got Record of the Year, Song of the Year, and then 2 R&B song nominees.
Wow. Wow. Doja Cat got nominated for Record of the Year?
People like that song. I know. I,
Yeah.
um, there's some real surprise. So that it's sort of surprising when you think about it, but then it's also like, look, if I can be real cynical and get ready for for people who are going to be mad at this. Like, let's be honest. Considering the summer that we had, do we really think that Grammy voters weren't going to say Beyonce put out a song called Black Parade on Juneteenth? They were like the white guilt. They were just like, listen, because it's not like, listen, there's a lot of songs that people could have nominated that spoke to people in a certain way, right? If you really wanted to nominate, but like when you get to a certain level of fame, when you put something out, people are going to
Yeah.
nominate it. It's the Eminem Rap Album of the Year nominee problem every time he puts out an album, and Beyonce's going to get stuff. I was surprised at 9 nominees, but she's going to get something.
Yeah. I think that more than the white guilt influencing the voters, I think that the white guilt put an emphasis on like who they focused on for the committee, right?
Well, I mean, there's some of that, and that kind of goes into a little bit about the weekend being shut out, and he's all mad, right? He's very mad. It's his 4th album, yo.
It's my fourth. That's funny. That's funny that it's his fourth album, actually. The jokes write themselves sometimes.
Um,
Okay, let's get to these nominees
all
first. We'll get
right,
to the weekend later.
so record of the there's real
Wow.
surprises.
I'm wow. Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I mean, record of the year, right? Beyonce Black Parade. I don't know who Black Pumas are with
Mhm.
colors, but the Baby and Roddy Rich Rockstar. But then you get to like
Yeah.
Post Malone Circles, Doja Cat Say So, Megan and Beyonce with Savage.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, they'll give it to Billie Eilish.
you think so? They love Billie Eilish.
Yeah. Yeah, they do. They do.
Album of the year, not a lot of hip hop really. I mean, you got Post Malone, but he's pseudo hip hop. I don't know why Janae's album got.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, wow, Janae got album of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Doesn't make any sense whatsoever. No, Taylor's winning album of the year.
Nah,
100%. You don't
I
think
don't
so?
know.
There's nobody
I don't
obvious else
know.
on that list to knock her out.
Usually people who win album of the year, people I've never heard of. So Haim or Jacob Collier. I've kind of heard of Dua Lipa. I've heard
Yeah,
that name before, but I don't know who it is. Like, I could see one of them, or I could see Black Pumas. If Black Pumas are nominated for
yeah.
Record of the Year and Album of the Year, they're gonna get something.
Maybe, maybe. Not a lot of hip hop really. I mean, the Baby and Roddy Rich. That's pretty much all we get. I mean, and Megan and Beyonce with Savage, but record and album of the year, not a ton of hip hop. Um, Black Parade also nominated for Song of the Year. Roddy Rich nominated for The Box.
Okay, talk to me.
Her with I Can't Breathe, Song of the Year.
Okay,
I've
I've
never heard
never
that
heard that
song
song
either.
before.
Um,
Yeah. Is that the same T.R. Thomas from Wale's
I
Bad?
I think it's got to be right.
Yeah,
Good for her.
yeah. Just hadn't seen the name in a while.
Taylor Swift got nominated Song of the Year. Billie Eilish. A lot of the same. There's a lot of crossover.
Do you know what kind of year Taylor's had?
Huge, yeah, huge year, huge year.
She had a huge year.
Folklore
Okay,
is
okay.
so she's got a thing dropping on Disney Plus. It's like a live perform. It's like a socially distanced, but like basically so like um Aaron Dresner, who is one half of the Nationals, which is like a rock band, produced like a
Yep.
ton of the. He produced a ton of the album, which is kind of what gave it its sound. Um, Bon Iver also helped out on a bunch of the albums. So like, there's this like thing at the, which makes sense because it kind of has that like sort of like I'm in the woods vibe going on. That like that whole. I mean, which is funny because like those two guys, Aaron Dresner and Bon Iver, they put on that festival that I've gone to a bunch of times. Right, it's the same vibe. Um,
So this is Woman
That's
in the
right. It's Woman in
Woods.
the Woods.
Okay, got
It
it.
literally
Got
is
it.
Woman in the
Got it.
Woods. Um, and
Okay.
so she had a huge year, went number one,
Okay.
sold a ton of copies. I think we talked about in the show in the context of she did like 8 different deluxe editions. Do you remember that?
I
So like
remember that.
she's
Yeah,
had a
yeah, yeah.
huge year. She's walking away with something for sure. I think
Okay.
she's walking away with something.
Okay.
Um,
Okay.
but not a
All right.
lot, not a ton of hip hop, right? Roddy Rich getting some, but like looking a little hip hop light up at the top, a little bit.
I think this is pretty on
Yeah.
brand. I think was it last year or 2 years ago where it was really
Mm.
hip hop heavy, but usually it's sparse. It's like a couple of people that it's like, oh yeah, I know who that
And
is. I know who Megan the
a
Stallion
lot of
is.
heavy, a lot of
I'll
heavy
nominate
hitters did
her.
not put out official projects this year, right? So like the Grammys are always a trailing indicator, right?
Yeah,
They're always one step behind a little bit in terms of this stuff. You know
yeah,
what I mean? So like no Jay, no Kanye, no Kendrick, no Drake album, like there's a whole bunch of people who kind of, sat the year out a little bit or sat this portion. Because the other thing to remember is like I think they moved it up. So this is like, it's people always forget this is like October to September or something like that. Like it's a weird slice of the year.
mm,
You know what I mean?
mhm. Yep,
There's some
yep.
controversy in Best New Artist.
Where's the
Well,
controversy?
Megan
Oh,
the Stallion, I think, is
yeah.
runaway here. But first of all,
I guess I could see Doja
Kate
Cat sneaking
Trinata,
in.
how is he a new artist? Like, I know this happens all the time,
Let's
but like,
yeah.
he had a really like, he had a successful project a couple years ago that like charted. You know what I mean? It's not like he put out mixtapes. You know what I mean?
I- Yeah, I mean, I always bring up the example, there's a jazz artist named
Yeah.
Esperanza Spalding, and by the time she was nominated for Best New Artist, she was already touring
Right,
the
right,
world,
right, right.
and she had put out, I want to say, 2 or 3 albums. So, Best New Artist, again, new means
Yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah.
So new is it's relative,
Sure.
right?
New to
So
who?
new to who's, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? So I'm never surprised when people, because D Smoke, new artist, Doja Cat, new artist, Chica, new artist. I don't know who Ingrid, Phoebe, or Noah are.
I assume
Um,
Noah Cyrus is related
but
to the Cyrus dynasty.
oh, Dynasty continues. Y'all die. Got it. Okay.
We thinking like,
Got it.
he's thinking more like Ming, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
I look, no disrespect to D Smoke.
I
Yeah.
still need
No
to see
disrespect
her.
to D Smoke, but I saw D Smoke and I was just like, did they confuse D Smoke and Pop Smoke?
I would say right, like because I think Pop Smoke is missing from a lot of
When
this
we go
stuff.
into the hip hop categories, like he's there, but like D Smoke's also, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, you get nominated for what you put in for, right? So the one last thing I want to say about Kate Trinata is Kate Trinata is nominated as Best New Artist because he or his team or somebody put him in. And so if the people who are looking at that go, sure, Best New Artist makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, we have to keep those are themes that keep coming up every Grammys episode
I
of
know.
CRS. I feel like you've been saying that for 6 years. Um, yeah, okay, so D Smoke wins a very popular
Yeah.
Netflix show, has a pretty good album. I don't know what else he does outside of that, but also I feel like D Smoke filled a Kendrick void.
Oh,
I
interesting.
remember talking about his album
Yeah,
on
yeah,
this
yeah, yeah.
show, and his album was, and we talked about it wasn't like a Kendrick, like he wasn't Kendrick light, but it was just proof that Kendrick's, like Kendrick is now embedded in the style of a lot of West Coast
Yeah.
artists, where clearly he's just a strong influence.
Yeah.
Um, but that's a good point. I wonder if they were like, yeah, D Smoke, Pop Smoke, they might have confused them.
It's really strange. Like, no disrespect to D Smoke, but it's like, really? Pop Smoke didn't even get the nomination for Best New Artist?
I mean, even in, unfortunately, but even like him being dead, like
Um,
there's always that, like, that wink and nudge to, you know, honor
yeah.
people. I can't pronounce that word after they've passed.
Oh,
The
posthumous.
P word.
Posthumous, yeah.
There we go.
Um,
Yeah.
you see some interesting stuff with the categories as well with somebody like who's I'm looking at this nominees list right now. Somebody who was really good this year at like just hitting all like sort of embracing the oh I cross genres aspect is Brittany Howard, who is the lead singer of Alabama Shakes. So she put out a solo album this
Oh,
year, and
mm-hmm.
she has nominees both best rock performance, but then also she has a nominee for best R&B performance because she is
Mm.
sort, she has songs in her project that sound like rock and she has songs in her project that don't. And so her team they're sort of being selective about what you submit to, which I mean kind of
Mhm.
makes sense, you know what I mean?
Look, get the
Right,
Grammy.
right.
Like, don't be, Christian artists have that problem a lot. We're like, I'm not a Christian artist. Like, no, submit to both, genius. Submit in the Christian
Right.
category, submit to the hip hop category. Like, if you can get it in one place, a Grammy's a Grammy's a Grammy.
Yeah, which it really gets interesting when you get to so you want to jump to the rap categories here real quick? So
Yes, yes, yes.
we now have there used to be like best performance by a duo or something like that, right? That is now
Hmm.
gone and they have replaced that. We now have best rap performance and best melodic rap performance, which is I think we're getting closer to there needs to be a split. And I think the controversy over certain people not getting nominated for best album and things like that reflects that hip hop is just big enough now. I don't know if rap and melodic rap is the right terms, right? But much like I've been advocating this for a long time, much like how there's like alternative rock and I
Hmm.
mean in R&B they split it, they go R&B and they call it progressive R&B. And that's how you get like,
Hmm.
and it all depends on what you submit to, right? But like
Then they also have they have traditional
right.
as
So you
well.
have different sort of
Yep,
slices, and
yep,
rap is now big enough for that. You know what I mean? But like, so let's start
absolutely.
best rap
Yeah,
performance: Big Sean and Nipsey, Deep Reverence.
okay.
The
Yep. That's the common that's the common nomination. You always get like the guy
mm-hmm.
who represents something else.
The Baby
Whatever.
with Bop, What's
Hmm.
Poppin', Jack Harlow,
All right.
Lil Baby, Bigger Picture, Megan and
Okay.
Beyonce, Savage, Pop Smoke,
Mhm.
Dior.
You know what wins? I don't know what wins there. I can see the baby getting one for
Yeah,
Bob. I could see Megan
I
getting one for
could,
Savage, and I could see Pop
I could
Smoke
see
for
Pop
Dior.
Smoke and Dior. I really could. Yeah. Um, yeah. Anything there stick out as I can't believe that got nominated?
No, people would say, "Wow, Big Sean got nominated," but like I said, like they always put that ear to the
Right.
streets nominee in there, so that doesn't really surprise
I,
me.
I think the only thing that
Um,
surprised. Oh, go ahead.
I, f- I was gonna say, I feel like if it wasn't for the pandemic, Nipsey would have had a huge
Mm.
year. Yeah, because there was the 1 year anniversary of his passing, and it was just like people were so inundated with COVID. They were just like, "Oh yeah, R.I.P. Nipsey, help." You know what I'm
One thing
saying?
that's interesting
So,
to me is like if you look at best rap performance and then best melodic rap performance, but then you get to best rap song, which rewards not the actual like performance of the song, but the songwriting. That sort of combines
mm,
those two categories, right? They haven't broken that out
mm,
yet. And so you get a
mm.
mixture of those, but there's a record nominated for best rap song that isn't in either, which is Laugh Now Cry Later, which is the only Drake nominee on this entire list. Which is kind of weird.
Yeah.
But so best rap song is Lil Baby Bigger Picture, Roddy
Hmm.
Rich The Box, Drake and Lil Durk
Hmm.
Laugh Now Cry Later, Baby and Roddy Rich Rockstar, and Savage
Hmm.
again.
Now Drake got nominated for best melodic rap performance
Oh yeah,
too.
you're right. Laugh Now Cry. I'm sorry. Okay, never mind. I missed that somehow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's interesting that is best melodic rap performance.
No, that's definitely melodic rap. Like I'm just listening
But
to this
like
stuff
Lil
and
Baby
I'm
and Bigger
like,
Picture is not.
I don't
Hmm.
think it is
We need a definition
because
for
Lil
melodic
Baby's
rap.
like because I hear I mean, I think here's the problem. Lil Baby definitely does
Yes, he
melodic
does.
rap for sure, but the bigger picture is probably his most rapidy rap song that he's
Okay.
put out. And I'm sure there's
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
melodies in
yeah,
there.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I'm not familiar enough with the song, but there's melodies in there to be like for it to pass. But I think the content is what put it over the
Hmm.
top. I think the content and the timing
Sure.
is like let's put out this
I don't
song.
think of Laugh Now Cry Later as particularly melodic. I mean, Dirk's the way that Dirk raps is melodic, but Drake isn't really that melodic.
He's super
He's
melodic. He's
rapping.
singing the
He's
whole
rapping.
time. That's the point, Doc. This is why when I said, is Lizzo hip hop? And everybody was like, no. And I was like, all of these rappers are
I know.
singing now. All of them are singing. So, like, what's the difference? I don't. Is it because Lizzo's not singing over Primo beats?
Primo's pitching. He's like, listen, this is what I did for Christina Aguilera. I can totally. I'm just kidding.
I can do it for you. It was
Get some
successful.
scratches, get some horns. We're in.
Lizzo. Oh man, yo, yeah. I honestly don't see the difference. I think all of these songs, melodic rap performance. Here's
Yeah.
okay. So if Lizzo's not
Mm.
hip hop, why is Anderson .Paak hip
What is
hop?
it? I mean, yeah, I don't know why Anderson .Paak is really here.
You know what I'm saying? Is Anderson .Paak hip hop because of how he carries himself? Because he gets more play on urban radio? Is it because he collaborates? You don't really see Lizzo doing songs with rappers, but Anderson .Paak works with nothing but rappers primarily. You know, like what's
That's
the
a good
difference?
question. I mean, I think it's also remember it's how do you want to what do you and your team want to submit yourself as? What do you want to be seen as? Did Lizzo's team even submit her for hip hop awards?
That's
Now,
it.
melodic rap
Absolutely.
did not exist when Lizzo did. That's a brand new category. So, when Lizzo comes out
Sure.
again, does she look at melodic rap and go, "Oh yeah, I've got a song for that."
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because again, a Grammy's a Grammy's a Grammy. Or do some people feel like a rap Grammy is like a second tier or a cheap
I don't
Grammy?
think so. I think a Grammy's a Grammy's a Grammy with the exception of album of the year, song of the year, record of the year, and best new artist. Those are the big four. After that, a Grammy's a Grammy's a Grammy.
Got you. Okay. I'm
Um,
rolling.
so best melodic rap, right? Rockstar, Laugh Now, Cry Later, Lockdown, Anderson .Paak, Roddy Rich, The Box, Highest in the Room, Travis. I feel like
Hmm.
that's the baby. Maybe. Drake's hard to beat. Drake's hard to
Maybe.
beat, but
I don't, they don't, the Grammys don't really treat Drake like
that's
that
true.
anymore. So I could see the baby. I could see Roddy Rich. Has Travis won a Grammy? I'm
I
sure
think
he
so.
has.
Highest in the Room is one of those records where you're like, really? But then that was because that came out right at the beginning of that Grammy window. It's like a weird time, right? If you have a song that blows up in like October or November, it's going to feel like the odd song out come Grammy time because it's been almost a year and a half since it was first popping. You know what I mean?
Facts.
But
Facts.
I wonder if Roddy. So it's one of these things where it's like Roddy Rich had a huge year with the box, and normally, considering how big of a success that was, you're gonna see that get rewarded in some way. But like, it's not up for record of the year. I can't imagine it wins song of the year. And there's just a lot of other names that are gonna kind of might box him out. When it comes to best rap song or you know,
I think with the Grammys I think his only shot is because you're right. But I think his shot is with the Grammys trying to not VMA
mm,
themselves and still maintain a level of relevancy and like getting people to watch. I could see them saying, "Look, we're hip. Here's
I
Roddy
mean,
Rich."
kind of, but there's no singular Grammys, right? Like there are groups of people who like review this and nominate this, and these are not the same people who are like putting the TV show on, who are what I mean?
Yeah.
Which clearly represents itself when you get to best rap album, which might as well reflect a different genre of music altogether than the nominees we just talked about,
Oh my
right?
God.
D Smoke, Black Habits, but Freddie Gibbs and The Alchemist with Alfredo. Woo.
I'm here
Jay
for it.
Alec with
I'm here
Written
for it.
Testimony,
I'm here
Nas
for
King's
it.
Disease, and Royce the
I'm
Five
here
Nine with
for it.
Allegory.
I'm here
I
for it.
mean,
Last night I cried tears of joy. I'm here
um,
for it.
you look at those names. I don't know who I would pick as my favorite. I mean, I think Nas wins.
I think Nas is the clear cut. I didn't know until I heard people say this is Nas. This is to Nas what when Leo
With the
won
Revenant,
the Oscar.
which
Yep,
was
for
not a very
Revenant.
good
Yep.
movie. Have you seen that movie?
but it was like, nah, I haven't seen it. And I love Leo, but
Nah,
nah, I haven't
man,
seen
that
it.
that movie is like, it's like, okay, I get it. He's gonna get mauled by the bear. Yep. Okay. Oh, good. And now I'm gonna spend the next 2 hours watching him attempt to survive in like frozen wilderness. I'm like, no,
Oh, it's listen, I don't like cold weather, so I'm not gonna watch a
that movie
movie.
is
I'm not gonna be
cold. It's
entertained
a
by
very
it.
cold movie.
That's what I'm saying. Nah, no, no icebox where my heart used to be. No, let's no. Yeah, because yeah, so people would say Nas has deserved it for X amount of years. You know, I could see him getting it. I could see
What
him getting
what
it.
would be the
But
most
you
delightful, surprising winner there? Yeah,
personally,
Royce would.
Royce.
Yeah,
But
go
what
ahead.
Royce personally, but what it means for hip hop, either Freddie or JLA. Probably more
Royce
Freddie.
getting it would be such a validation from like sort of the industry for his like unsung career, right? Which got off to what seemed like a fast start and then cratered, and then he brought himself back up from nothing. It would be,
For
I
sure.
mean, honestly, album of the year rap album of the year nomination is validation in a certain degree, right? But
For sure.
like, they're gonna say Royce's name on Grammy night, which is like awesome. Just to say it, which has got to be a validation for him. Um,
Absolutely.
Honestly, the thought of Jay Electronica going up on stage and giving a Grammy speech is just, honestly also is the thought of Freddie Gibbs and Alchemist going up, which would just be.
Like JLec would be funny because he would say something crazy, but Freddie Gibbs would just go up there and just like go crazy.
The censor's
I
just
already
gonna
know.
have their button ready.
Yep. He's gonna come up there with a joint. Like it's already gonna be something totally different.
I
Shout out to Alk, man. I try to tell y'all, man. Alk and Hit Boy, 2020. Here
I
and
can see
here.
not. Yeah, I think Nas gets it. I think Nas
Nas
gets it.
gets it.
Um,
D Smoke might sneak in the back door and get it because he's been nominated for all these
One of
other
those things
spots.
where everybody else, like, it's sort of like so many like names from like hip hop like enthusiasts, the vote gets split, and then all of a sudden it's like D Smoke.
Yep, I can see it happening.
Um,
I can see it happening. But here's the other
yeah,
thing I want.
go ahead.
Hold
No,
on,
no,
go
go
ahead and
ahead, go
say
ahead.
what you're gonna say. Okay, so you know, I saw people
Yeah.
complain right about these hip hop categories, and I guess my question would be like, yo, what do you replace? Like people were saying Roddy's album should have been nominated. I saw people talk about Benny. Of course, West Side Gun is blowing dust about Griselda. But it was like I can't
Right.
like what this represents makes me so
Mm.
happy. Like, cause this represents something. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, Roddy doesn't heard great things about Roddy's album. I didn't listen to it, but like Roddy's in other categories. So I'm not tripping because he technically didn't get snubbed because he still got nominated for a couple
I
Grammys.
think if you look at this,
But
I think part of it is right. You look at Billboard now, and the way
mhm,
that we've talked about it obsessively on the show, but it's true and it matters so much for hip hop, right? The way that Billboard measures sort of streams and popularity means that you can have big numbers and not cross over to a certain degree to a kind of mainstream audience in that same way. It used to mean that you did. If you had a number one album on Billboard, it meant that that like lots of people across lots of different radio stations and lots of different environments would have heard of you. It's not true anymore.
yeah,
And so what happens is people, there's two artists who had huge albums this year that are not listed as best rap album, and that's Lil Baby and that's Pop Smoke. And people look at this and
mhm,
go, you know, they're probably thinking no disrespect to Freddie Gibbs and the Alchemist with Alfredo, but like Lil Baby only got nominated for Bigger Picture, which,
yeah,
you know, is a song with a message. Grammys love songs with
yeah.
messages, but like Bigger Picture is not why Lil Baby dominated this year.
It's a great point.
So I get that. But like the Grammys are not the Billboard Awards, right? They really aren't. They're different. Now, all you have to, like I said, all you have to do is look at these like best rap performance, best melodic rap performance, and best rap song categories. All you have to do is look at that and then look at the nominees for best rap album and say, and this makes sense. There's so much more hip hop now. We need more categories. You just need more categories. You don't need more
Facts.
contenders in best rap album, but like, let's be honest, right? Like Lil Baby's, what Lil Baby's album has in common with Freddie Gibbs' album is, I mean, the producers who made it use the same software, maybe a couple shared
Yeah,
808s,
pretty
but
much it.
like, there's not sonically, topic wise, the way the rapping happens, like none of it is even remotely interconnected, right? Except unless you
Yeah.
go way back in sort of the music family tree, you know what I mean? But like, what is it? Just be, okay, great. There's some bass, and yes, there's a black guy rapping or singing. That doesn't mean that they're the same
Yeah.
category. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Yeah. I agree. More
Yeah.
categories. Great point. I agree.
Right. So I
I
don't
agree.
know. Naming it's going to be weird. In R&B they've got like best progressive R&B album and best R&B album, which makes it sound like I don't know best progressive R&B album. I see like
Let
I
me
see
see. Let me see.
Thundercat and Free Nationals and Janae, but then I see like Ant Clemens, surprising nominee for Happy to Be Here, and I'm just like,
Well, that's best, but that's best R&B. That's not under
but I
progressive.
know, no, 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 I know. That's what I'm saying. Under best R&B, you've got like Ant Clemens, and I'm like, but Ant Clemens,
Oh, I
the
see what you're saying.
difference between Ant Clemens and like Janae, I don't know. Like they seem like they should be in the same category to me. But like
I see what you're
Thundercat
saying.
and
But
Janae,
then,
like what do they have to do with one another? You know what I mean? I don't know.
but I think that comes down to again
Sure.
what you said, like what people
Yeah.
submit to, and I think there are probably people like your Lizzo's who are very mindful of where they submit, and then but then there could be an Ant Clemens where his team is like, let's just
Sure.
get
And
you
see
everywhere,
what
let's throw it
happens.
all on
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
wall,
yeah.
see what
Yeah, for
sticks.
sure.
Yep.
For sure. But no, I mean it seems pretty clear we need a separate I don't know if you call it progressive. I don't know if you call it melodic. I don't know what you call it. People are going to complain about the names, but like, yeah, we can call it
Sure.
like new school, old school, rapidy rap, and trap. Like, I don't care what label you put on it, but there's been multiple types of hip hop for a long time, and it's well past due.
I could see them turning the rapidy rap category into like
Yep.
traditional hip hop album or something. I could see that. And I could see progressive hip hop be, it's weird because like progressive as of right now is the more
Yeah.
melodic, but then like what happens when that becomes standard? Does that stuff get moved to traditional, and then whatever's progressive in 10 years gets put in progressive? And then what does that mean if Lil Baby's still putting out music in 10 years? But like what happens to a Royce the 5 9 album? Then do they end up in the same space? Because now they're both traditional. It's like how old school hip hop stations will play like
Right.
Tribe Called Quest, but they'll also play like
I
Mace.
think part of it is it seems pretty clear that there is like when you and I were young, old school meant 80s, and that's not what it means anymore
Yeah,
necessarily. But it's
correct.
because look, there's beats on a lot of these best rap album categories, excuse me, that are certainly like have modern influences or whatever, right? But there's very clearly a rapidy rap strain in hip hop that is never going away, right? And so
100%.
there's
100%.
that angle for sure. What we don't know is there has been a now 12-year, right? '08 is 808s and it's Lollipop, and right, we're now 12 years into, which is, and yeah, rappers were singing before then, but that's really where you can plot that point and go, right? Because it goes in a certain direction. We're now 12 years in. We've now reached this point where like that's just what's on the radio all the time. What we don't know is when the next thing comes, what happens to this? You know what I mean? Does
Correct.
it become the new traditional, like you were saying? Like we won't know until it happens, basically. It might fade away. Much
Correct.
like, you know, um, I don't know, late 90s, early 2000s keyboard beats, right? Like that was a
I.
thing, but that when
Hmm.
the trend changed, that didn't become quote unquote traditional hip hop. You know what I mean? Not
Right.
yet.
Right. That
We
was
still
like
got
more.
time.
Yeah. It was trendy. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's a great question, but that takes a lot of foresight to predict how that's gonna go.
Right. And the Grammys are always going to trail. So they're always going to probably like if they get it right next year, that just means next year they're going to really really get it wrong.
Yep. Yep. And they'll get it. They'll finally balance out in another two
What would
years
be
after that.
funny is if they finally got a best melodic rap album nominee right as
Mm-hmm.
that's what is going out of favor, and instead we're doing rapidy rap over something like that we've never heard of before, or whatever the trend is. You know what I mean? Like they'll get it
Yeah.
switched right in time to not matter. But we'll see.
Right. We'll see.
Anything else you want to say about the Grammys?
Good combo.
You got any
Nah, I
picks
don't think so. I
for
think that's.
best Latin jazz album or
Do I want to predict what's going to happen in historical?
will Kanye win for best CCM album for Jesus is King? He
Did he
did.
get nominated for oh, let me see. I can't why can't Okay,
He
there
did
it
not
is.
get nominated
No,
for
it's not.
any uh CCM or gospel songs, but he got nominated for best CCM album.
He didn't get nominated for best gospel album too. Interesting. Okay. Well, uh I don't know. You got Hillsong in there. That's always those mega
Yeah.
churches. Woof. All right. Yeah, no, I'm good. I'm good. Let's move on.
We were talking about actually speaking of Kanye, we
Yeah.
just had the 10th anniversary of My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
And the internet was very quick to I saw a lot of big claims.
Mm-hmm.
Um I saw some people talk about it. I think it I haven't seen any pushback. People just seem to universally agree that it's the best album of the 2010s. I saw some
Mm-hmm.
people had it like, is this one of the best rap albums of all time? Which
Mm-hmm.
this album is now overrated, right? Can we say
Ooh.
that?
Is
I
this your
got a
hot
hot take.
take?
We are now at the point, I think, where I think we have to ask, is it overrated?
Because
I
you
do
love
love
this
this
album.
album. It's it's not the best album of the 2010s. It's not better than Good Kid, Mad City by any stretch.
There we go. Let's
Um,
go. Let's go.
it's it's got flaws if you really want to nitpick. You know,
Mm,
like if you really want, let's all be really honest. I don't need to hear Power ever again. Okay,
mm.
and honestly, you know, the sequencing's a little funky. Like Gorgeous actually kind of is too long, drags the album out. Like the album doesn't really get going until All the Lights because of the weird combo for me, right? Like I love the opener. Like
Yeah,
look, there's tons of songs in there I love, classic, but like
of course.
Kanye is prone to indulgence, right? So like there's stuff that you can cut on that project for sure.
And and this is peak indulgence Kanye.
It's it's also, for an album that like if you're really going to put it in that category, it really was like one of the least influential of Kanye's albums.
Because it was so much like people couldn't really like
Well,
duplicate
like
it.
808s is going to end up being one of his most influential for sure. But like College Dropout was incredibly influential, maybe not sound wise, but like his aesthetic as an artist. Lupe, Drake, you can chart that whole line. It's been talked a million times before, right? But like
Sure.
808s, you could listen to 808s. 808s sound, I mean, there's stuff that doesn't sound modern because he's not using pitched up drums, basically. But you know what I mean? But like, and the tempo's a little off, but like the aesthetic, all of it is so modern compared to what else we did. Watch the Throne was sort of an amazing superstar team up at the time. People do collaborations all the time now. It's not even a thing anymore. That was like the first real big one.
Yeah, we just had Uzi and Future do
Right
something.
now, it's
Yep.
almost like, nah,
Yep.
whatever. There's almost too many. Like it's not special anymore.
Yeah.
But Dark Twisted
Yeah.
Fantasy is this like big maximal like sound, and yet the most influential thing that got released in 2010 is Self-Made Volume 1. That doesn't mean it was the best. I'm not saying it's even close to the best, but I'm saying if you're telling me that this is like hypothetically one of the best albums of all time, it's like oddly not influential in any way at all.
What makes Self-Made Volume 1 the most influential album of the
There's a run of
2010s?
songs that it starts with. Hold up.
Okay. I just want you to get this off.
So the production on Tupac Back, 600 Bends, honestly, really those two alone. But like the trap existed before Self Made Volume 1, but
Hmm.
modern trap beats start with, I mean, Lex Luger's on here doing That Way, right? But like Lex Luger with what he did with Ross in 2010, and then oh, I always forget. Self Made Volume 1 is 2011. Sorry, so I got that wrong. But it's so if anything, it's interesting. The end of 2010 is when Dark Twisted Fantasy comes out, right? But like sort of quietly, Tupac back and 600 Bends, especially Tupac back. Like that plus what Lex Luger was already doing, that is where the sound of hip hop goes instead. I mean, to the point where Kanye knows it because he gets Lex for Ham.
Ham.
Because and then he gets Southside for Illest MFer Alive because he sees, oh, I was doing Blueprint 3 and I was doing Dark Twisted Fantasy, but instead this other thing came up and we're going in a different direction. You know? And so look, I love Dark Twisted Fantasy, but there are parts of it that you can and could cut. He oddly, weirdly left some Good Friday songs on the table that could have, should have, maybe would have like been a part of this. I think it's a really good album. I think it's a classic album. I don't think it's the best album of the 2010s. It's definitely not the best album of all time. Like, so it's one of those things where it's like, I'm not saying it's not a classic album. I don't even know if it's Kanye's best, for starters.
I was gonna say it's not Kanye's best album to me. That would be Graduation.
And there's a lot of debates that people can have about what Kanye's best is. So I appreciate it. Like, sure, let's give it its flowers. Like, let's talk about it. And I think that's fine. But like, it was really interesting just that like everybody was just like, oh yeah, best album in the 2010s. And I was like, are we sure about that?
It got virtually no pushback. You're right. Absolutely. I have nothing to say. We've talked about this at length, and I don't disagree. I've never loved Dark Twisted Fantasy the way that other people have. I always thought the Good Friday series was better. You know, there's certain records like I'm not crazy about Hell of a Life. I'm not crazy about Gorgeous. All the Lights is not super crazy to me the way it was at the time, but it's like, I think to your self-made point though, there was a different kind of trap. So Lex Luger was working with like Flocka, Gucci, like this very regional, rough, unmixed, just like raw sound. He gets with Ross, Kanye, you know, he gets in the industry, basically people with money, and they make this big, grandiose trap sound. They make it big. You know, people didn't like Ham when it first came out. Why? Because it was so big. People loved the rawness of Lex Luger's beats, and Kanye was adding orchestras and opera singers and all this other crazy stuff. And in hindsight, that's where it ended up going versus like the raw sound. Of course, the raw is always
sort of, but like oddly enough, it took Future to sort of, I think Future should get a lot of credit for taking what was an aggressive trap sound and kind of inverting a little bit. Like Future will make aggressive records for sure, but like for going more internal, when it's funny that Kanye had it there the whole time, right? Like Kanye did 808s and probably wanted to get out of that headspace, right? For sure. But like the 808s, 808s and Heartbreak plus Self-Made is basically what we have now. You could a little bit of change. Got to give Young Chop some love for what he did with hi-hats. A lot of people influenced along the way, but like you can just see that line right there.
Yeah, because now I'm thinking like we're giving credit to Lex Luger. Well, Lex Luger was the creator, but he really didn't get to like enjoy the spoils of his victors because Mike Will showed up, Southside showed up, Metro showed up. All these other guys took that sound of what Young Chop and what Lex Luger were doing, and they took off. They took off with it. Yeah. So if they, okay, I won't make that point. That's fine.